Are you considering a move to Kansas City? Hi, I'd love to meet you. My name is Rachel Kilmer, also known as Rach the Realtor, and I am a lifelong Kansas City Metro resident, as well as a real estate agent licensed on both sides of the state line. Many people, when they make the move to Kansas City, want to rent, either because financially they just have to start out, or because they want to get a feel for the area for a year or two before they dive into the world of purchasing real estate. The good news is there's tons of rental options for you to have here in Kansas City. And today, we'll dive right in and I'll explain them all to you. Let's go. The first reason many people reach out to me that are thinking about renting in Kansas City are they're asking the question, how do I even find rentals? Where do I look to find rental properties? There's a few ways to do that. The biggest, easiest way is online listings. So you can look on websites like my own, rachtherealtorkc.com, and filter by for rent. However, a lot of rentals aren't listed in MLS, so I'll explain why in just a minute. So you might have better luck looking at places like forrent.com, Zillow, Realtor, Facebook Marketplace, even Craigslist, places where people would be posting their own listings that are available for rent. So the reason there's not a ton listed in MLS is because in Kansas City, unlike larger markets, real estate agents don't have a lot to do with the rental market. The resale property market is really different than the rental market. And the reason is that landlords typically market and sometimes even manage their own properties in Kansas City. It does not hurt to reach out to a real estate agent and get some advice and some direction on which way to go. I would love to help you with that. You can send me an email at rachel.kilmer@reesenichols.com or leave a comment on this video and we'll touch base. But really, ultimately, you are going to be in charge of your rental search. So other places you can look, since you are now in charge of this search, congratulations. Local property management companies. So if you just Google property management companies in Kansas City, a lot of property owners and like smaller time investors hire property management companies to take care of their rentals for them. And the big keyword here is local, because there are national property management groups and national and even international investors that are buying up property in bulk here in Kansas City. And from my experience, people that have rented that have kind of given me feedback, the best way to go is local. You want an actual human you can call that has some accountability for your experience versus a big corporation who doesn't care whether or not you have bats living in your attic. Not that I'm speaking from experience that I've been told, local. Another way to find rental properties is networking and word of mouth. Kansas City is one of those communities that feels like a small town, even though it's not. I mean, you're like 3 degrees removed from basically everyone in Kansas City, which is really cool because then you're like 3 degrees removed from Patrick Mahomes, or Taylor Swift now. But truly, don't hesitate to ask. Just ask, hey, does anyone know of any rentals that are coming available? You can do this in person. If you're moving here for a new job, ask your new boss if they know anyone that might know. Get on online forums like Facebook groups, Reddit pages, any messaging boards. You can ask that way. And you just put the word out, because a lot of times these rentals are getting filled from word of mouth before they even ever posted publicly. Another way to look for rentals in Kansas City is just drive around. A lot of times you'll just see a sign in the yard that says for rent with a phone number on it, and you call it and turns out it's, the cool landlord that has had 5 properties his entire life and you'll live there for 20 years and be happy, Sometimes those are the happiest endings to these stories. So don't be afraid to just cruise around and be a creeper in your ideal neighborhood, or send someone if you're not here in Kansas City yet to go drive around and see if you can find any rental properties. So really the best ways to find rental properties: online listings, word of mouth, person to person, looking at property management group websites, ideally local property management groups, and then just driving around looking for signs. Those are some good ways to find rentals. The responsibilities of a renter versus the responsibilities of a landlord, that can be a real point of contention. And this changes a lot from market to market and even from landlord to landlord right here in Kansas City. So basically speaking, your responsibility as a renter: pay your rent on time, keep the space clean and, so there's not rodents and stuff, and maintain its current condition, basically. Report any maintenance issues to your landlord. In theory, they should be responsible for fixing those, but we'll come back to that. And then adhere to the terms of the lease. A lot of times, most of the time, I would say there's pet policies, pet restrictions. So you can't sign a lease saying you won't have a dog and then bring a dog in. So make sure you're really upfront with your landlord about what you're going to use the home for, what your living style is going to be, and make sure that it is cohesive with the lease they want you to sign. A lot of areas of Kansas City have noise ordinances too. So if you are, whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you do have to adhere to those. The landlord, ideally, is responsible for providing a safe dwelling, a clean dwelling, everything's functional and working. They should be making repairs for everything, but not every landlord has that in their lease. So make sure you read your lease, read contracts before you sign them. Breaking news. Read the lease and see what the terms are in it, whether you're responsible for repairs or the landlord is. You really want the landlord to be responsible for those repairs because this is their property that they own. But I have heard of leases that are written the other way. So read the lease. But one thing that is, I'm going to say 50-50 is exterior maintenance, meaning more like lawn maintenance and snow removal. Some landlords include that in their lease. Some are expecting you to maintain the yard and do snow removal and all of that good stuff. And that can get expensive. You're either gonna have to hire it out or you're gonna have to purchase a lawnmower and a weed eater and all that. So that's something to keep in mind as you're looking at budgets and as you're looking at maybe what kind of rental you're gonna have and which landlord you're going to work with. Security deposits are really common here. Typically, it's meant to be returned to the tenant if they keep the home or the rental in the condition in which it was given to them. But there can be a lot of discrepancy on the deposits as well. So basically, that short version of all of that is read your lease. Read your lease. Make sure you know what it says, and then you'll be fine. What parts of the metro are great for renting? Well, there's a lot of different options. It really kind of depends on what your vibe is. What kind of neighborhood do you want, and what kind of home do you want to rent? Downtown, Crossroads, even River Market area are really popular rental areas. And those areas, it's almost all condos and apartments. There is an area called Quality Hill that I really like for renters because it's kind of just tucked back up off the beaten path and it's almost all residences. So it's a little bit quieter, but almost all rentals. And they do have townhouses in there rather than apartments. I mean, they have apartments too, but I like that area downtown. So those are areas that you want to, if you like lots of action, you like to be close to everything, you like everything to be really walkable. And then Westport and Midtown are areas where a lot of people like to rent. And these areas, you'll see old buildings that have 6, 8 condos, apartments in them. So they're not huge skyrise buildings. They're kind of smaller complexes. And then you'll have a lot of single family homes for rent as well, especially in Midtown. There's an old style of home called the Kansas City Shirtwaist, which I talk about in detail in my video on Kansas City architecture. But the Shirtwaist home is huge and has a ton of bedrooms. So those are really popular for college kids or fresh out of college when you want to cram 4 or 5 people into a house. Those areas, some of it's walkable, some of it's a mile or 2 drive or walk to get to things. And then as we go further south, Brookside and Waldo are desirable rental areas. Brookside's a little more affluent and kind of harder to find rentals in it. And just the houses are bigger and more expensive. Whereas Waldo has a lot of cute little ranch homes that are just waiting for renters or for first time investors to buy them to rent to people. So those are good areas. The walkability there is even slightly less than Westport and Midtown, but depending on where you are, it can still be really walkable and super easy drive to get to the main shopping and restaurant areas in both of those neighborhoods. And then as you get out into the suburbs, there's lots of single family homes for rent, apartment complexes. Johnson County is seeing a huge sudden influx of luxury apartment buildings that are catered to kind of a younger crowd that wants everything easily accessible to them. And they're a little bit higher price range, but they're nice and have lots of amenities. But then you have, traditional apartment buildings, you have townhomes, single family homes as well. So kind of just depends on what area you want to be in. You want to think about your commute. You want to think about the vibe of your neighborhood and then kind of hopefully get a feel for if you like Kansas City and want to stay long term and then eventually buy a property. So I'm here to walk you through it all. I love talking with renters and people that are moving to Kansas City. Even though I may or may not be able to help you find a rental, I can point you in the right direction, give you some guidance, and cheer you on this very exciting journey of your move to Kansas City. Until then, I'll be here on YouTube giving you the scoop on all things KC. See you next time.